How does it feel for me? Sophia, April 2022. What was your experience of services during your most recent mental health crisis?
I'd had an appointment with my private therapist. She was concerned about something and she emailed my GP. I happened to have a routine appointment with that GP the same day. So the GP obviously flagged that email. She was like, well, the only thing I can do is send you to A&E or ring the crisis team. She rang the crisis team, but the crisis team said they didn't have any space. So I ended up waiting in the GP surgery for the ambulance because they were saying that if I went home, they were just going to call the police on me. I got taken to Jimmy's in an ambulance, and then I was eventually seen by ALPs. They discharged me with no further support other than they said that they would follow up the conversation with my care-co-ordinator from Emerge. I felt like quite let down because I was like, I've been sent here by my private therapist, my GP, and then the consultant has in the hospital has said you need to be seen by ALPs. So why is it that 3 people see the concern, but then I speak to 2 team members from ALPs and they basically fob me off and say that basically there's no issue and there's no risk. The next day, my care coordinator from Emerge came around the house to speak to me, and she agreed to refer to ISS, which is something that, ALPS could have done the night before. I would have preferred to know what the plan was last night when I was in crisis.
How was your experience of the intensive support service?
They're always really good. I just got a really nice bunch of people. They're not very judgemental and they don't tend to ask you too many annoying questions that don't make sense. And they usually just come for a chat, really. And they try, also what I think is good with IS is that you get seen once a day. You can also ring the duty line as well, which is open till, I think it's open till 9 p.m. And they also really try to get you to see people that you've seen before. So when I've been under the service, I've always got the same, 3-4 people that I know already, so that helps.
Can you talk more about your experience of the Acute Liaison Psychiatry Service?
Almost every time I've spoken to them, they've been condescending. I understand they probably don't want to see you, but then they have to understand that people aren't coming into A&E because they want to speak to ALPs. Just the way that they speak to you, I feel like I'm being told off by my school teacher. I don't like some of the language they use in their reports. They're quite damning about you as a person when they write. They don't use words like didn't want to. They'll say refused. I was recently in hospital in Birmingham with appendicitis, and I was seen by their version of the ALPS team. It's like you're reading 2 different people. ALPS and Becklin and Leeds have got me down as this aggressive, rude person, and then Birmingham had a complete different perception of me. I wasn't in any of a better state, really, because I just had surgery, I was groggy, I was on morphine. But just the way they write, the language they use as well, it doesn't feel like when you read it back to yourself, they're not attacking your character or using these negative words. They're just using facts. Is wearing a hospital gown and is here because she's just had an appendectomy. His mental health is not great at present. And I also noticed that usually when I'm in Leeds, I'm always seen by men. I don't have a great history with men. They know that, who I don't feel comfortable with, and then it's you're not going to have a good conversation, are you? I would like to be asked my preference. That's never actually been asked. That's been asked with ISS, and that's been asked with Emerge, and that's been asked with CMHT. The other thing that I find is the information they've got on me seems to be either out of date. When I've turned up to the Becklin, they seem to not have any emergency contact numbers for me. It's just not joined up. Everybody's working on a different system and it causes more harm than good.
Have you felt like a partner in your own care?
I did not feel like an active partner in my care, not in A&E circumstances anyway. I've had it before where a consultant has decided that I've not got capacity. When I've tried to leave, they've got policemen to restrain me for absolutely no reason. So no, I don't feel I had a lot of choice, especially in that example. I did not have any choice. and I wasn't taken seriously, and I was told I didn't have capacity. But on the flip side, with CMHT and Emerge, I felt like I've had a lot more control about what's happening with me and my care and treatment. So for example, my care coordinator and I sort of decided, I mean mainly it was my decision, but she kind of agreed, that I should get the diagnosis sorted, because in order to prevent the other random ones being slapped on for no reason.
What one thing about your care did you really value this month?
One thing that I really valued about my care this month was my care coordinator from Emerge. She's great. I felt with other care coordinators I've not been able to gel, it's just not worked. But for some reason she's managed to gel with me. To be honest, it was the other day, she was just really helpful when she came to see me.
If you could have changed one thing to make your experience of crisis services better, what would it be?
I would say that they should be looking at someone as a whole person, rather than just looking at someone's behaviour right now, in the here and now, and being like, what is wrong with them? What has that person been through? What is that person's circumstances? And also, I think more importantly, not getting information wrong, writing stuff down wrong.